your cut curtain on top of your lining fabric, making sure the edges at the top match, that the sides match, and that the bottom matches. We've drawn on the 5 centimeter hem line for you so you can see how large the hem is going to be at the bottom, in order to make quite sure that your fabric is even. Smooth it down towards the edge with your hand. Cut away any unsightly edging. If there's any self-edge that is going to look tacky at the side of your curtain, if you're going to overlock your seams, remove it. If you're going to be doing a straight hem at the side of your curtains, you can leave it because your seam allowance will be 1.5 centimeters. For overlockers, it's going to be 0.5 centimeter. Now you're going to cut away enough fabric at the side of your lining so that when your curtain is finished, it will have an edge on either side of the wrong side and no stitching lines visible on the right side. If you're going to be using an overlocker, 2.5 centimeters from the edge should be sufficient. If you're going to use a straight sewing machine, 1.5 will be adequate because you're going to use a 1.5 centimeter seam allowance. If you are using a straight machine, I advise you to zigzag the edges if you've cut away your self edge. If not, it's not necessary, so that when you wash your curtain, it doesn't fray on the inside. Turn your curtain to the right side and press the entire length on both sides, turning that 1 centimeter at the back. At this stage, you would have sewn your curtains together, right sides facing, turned it to the right side, ironed it down each length so that you have this turn over towards the back and you won't see any stitching on the right side. You have neatened off your top edge, you've neatened off your base edge. Now, take your ring tape and lay it along the entire length of the top edge of your curtain on the right side. So it's the wrong side of the tape to the right side of the curtain. On the edge, you have a ring. On the other edge, you have a ring. The extension at the side of the ring needs to be the same on either side. So take your tape over, fold it, holding your rings together, and make sure that the extension is the same on either side. If it's not, trim it. Stitch your tape to your curtain top. Remember, you must do it on the right side. There is a hem guide or a sewing guide on the tape, usually anyway, so it makes it very easy to sew it. If it's not there, sew it at a distance about 1 foot wide from the edge on either side of the tape. Using either a tailor's chalk or a disappearing pen, mark 3 centimeters above your tape at various points along the length above your tape. Then turn that over to the wrong side and press a sharp crease at the top edge of your curtain. Now you're going to stitch that flat, cut out your rings, and you're ready to hem your curtain. Now if you want your curtain to hang nicely, this is really the most critical part. You're going to lay your curtain out flat with the tape flat and your seam or extension of 2 centimeters or 3 centimeters at the top of your curtain, everything laying as flat as possible. Then you're going to hold the middle section of your curtain exactly in half and mark that point there either with a disappearing pen or tailor's chalk. Put that under the machine, put the presser foot onto the tape and then stretch the curtain out with the tape in your hands until the very edge so that you get it nice and flat and straight when you sew it, and then complete the other side. Now if you want your curtain to hang nicely, this is really the most critical part. You're going to lay your curtain out flat with the tape flat and your seam or extension of 2 centimeters or 3 centimeters at the top of your curtain, everything laying as flat as possible. Then you're going to hold the middle section of your curtain exactly in half and mark that point there either with a disappearing pen or tailor's chalk. Put that under the machine. Put the presser foot onto the tape and then stretch the curtain out with the tape in your hands until the very edge so that you get it nice and flat and straight when you sew it, and then complete the other side. Now draw a cutting mark on the inside of your tape ring hole so that you can cut away that fabric to stud your ring onto the curtain. Use a small, very sharp scissors to cut away your hole in the center of your ring. It doesn't matter if there are loose edges here, you do not need to stitch them. The reason you have to stitch it down the side of the curtain is because if the fabric does fray, you might end up with your seams coming into holes down the side of your curtain. That wouldn't be a very good idea. If you find that your stud doesn't fit into your hole when you turn your curtain to the right side, trim away a little more around the edge, but be very careful not to trim it further than the actual ring hole. Pop your studs into the curtain, hook up your back end plastic holders for your pleats so that it forms a nice pleat in the front. Before you hem your curtain, hang it on the rail against the window that you intend to hang it on to check that your measurements have been accurate. Please only make one curtain at a time. Don't cut all your curtains in one go and then find out that you've done some silly little thing wrong. Even the best expert can make an error. Make one, write everything that you've done carefully down in a diary next to you, and when you make the rest of them, go according to that list and see if there's any errors that you've made in your measurements, etc. Once you've checked your measurements, you can now hem your curtain by folding it the required amount at the bottom and straight stitching it along. If you really want to, you can slip stitch it so that the stitches don't show on the right side. One final pointer: the hooks at the back of the curtain to form your pleats, if you are going to use them, the edge or the last ring on the tape at the top of your curtain must not have the plastic extension. In other words, it must be open and the plastic extension must be on the left hand side. Hang your curtains. Remember that you must have an even number of rings if you want your curtain to fold accurately the same on either side. In other words, 8 rings, 10 rings. Congratulations. We're going to be making elegant ring stud curtains, and we're going to start off with telling you how you should measure for your curtains. Measure from the edge, the top edge of the rail to the drop of your curtain. In other words, how long you want your curtains to hang. Then you need to add 3 centimeters to the top of the curtain and 11 centimeters for the turnover for your tape. At the bottom, you need to add your hem allowance, and I've allowed a 3 centimeter hem. You could make it 5 centimeters or whatever you want. So it is your finished drop plus 3 centimeters to extend above your rail, 11 centimeters turnover, so that's 14 centimeters, and 3 centimeters hem, so it's 17 centimeters longer than your finished drop length.